Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. When we come back, we're picking up the conversation with Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com, talking Ravens and more next on The Fix.
Get your fix.
Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got to do.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Sports Fix listeners, you've heard me talking about it. Millionaires being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. I've been playing there too. It's now J-Rock's favorite one-week fantasy football site. What's one-week fantasy football? That means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Have a player who's hurt? That's no problem at all because you change everything week to week. Injuries don't derail your chance at victory. It's a new season every week. You're never stuck with the same players. You can pick your team in just minutes and be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000. Another turned $2 into $10,000. And a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day. $1 million just for playing fantasy football at DraftKings.com. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play for free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix. Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history? In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
On Hollis Ave the dark, when I seen a man chilling with his dog in the park, I approached him very slowly with my heart full of fear. Looked at his dog, oh my God, a ill reindeer. But then I was feeling good, the man had a beard.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you guys, rolling on, getting ready to be joined by my man Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com here as we roll into another Browns weekend. Final Browns game of the season here coming up this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens. And worst case scenario, the Browns finish the season at 7-9 if they against the odds. I guess that's the best term. I don't even know if that's the best term. I think it's even bigger. But anyways, if the Browns somehow were to win, they would not only ruin the Ravens season, as the Ravens have to win to get into the playoffs, but they would also finish at 500. For the first time since 2007. So we'll talk about that and more. We'll preview the Baltimore Ravens whenever the Browns' opponent is coming up. My man Jeff Gorman has the scouting report this week. As I said, it's the Ravens. And I'll tell you, anybody that wants to point to that other game, you can get that out of your vocabulary right now because those are not won but two completely different teams than the ones that met earlier on this season in the form of the Browns and the Ravens earlier on. So with that, we pick up and let's go to you with the conversation. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE. What do you expect to see this weekend? Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE. I'm going to go to the phones and we'll kind of talk about all of this. Not just the Ravens scouting report, but all the things we were just talking about in the first segment coming out of Carolina. Let's pick up there with my man Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com. First off, Jeff, welcome back. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. All that good stuff. And welcome in, my man.
Merry Christmas to you, J-Rock. Had a really good time yesterday with the family, and what I got to tell you, my daughter just said, you know what, J-Rock's right. It doesn't feel like Christmas without all the snow.
Oh man, so I got the responsibility of knowing that children are listening to the show, man. What if I'd have said, hey man, I'm just saying, man. Yesterday I'm out cutting promos on wrestling people, telling kids there's no Santa Claus. What if I caused this major debacle at your house? Because you got to let me know children are listening. Now I gotta keep that in mind from now on, man. But it doesn't feel like it. It does not feel like Christmas when you're wearing flip-flops out to take the garbage out this morning, man.
I know, it's crazy, but, I personally like it. You're going to have a hard time convincing me that this isn't a good thing, even though it doesn't quite have that Christmas feel. I'm definitely a favorite heat miser over snow miser at this point.
Come on, man. Listen, we can have the heat. I'm with it. I don't like snow. I'm not no Eskimo, man. I don't like to dig myself out of that stuff any more than the next guy. But the one that we get snow when we don't need, we get snow in June sometimes here in Cleveland. And the one day that it's like legally obligated to snow and they can't come through. You know what I'm saying? Come on. What's up with that, man? What's up with that, Jeff Gorman?
I don't know. That's one of the many things in life that I have no control over.
I don't know. I disagree, man. I think this is all your fault. I'm holding you personally responsible for my lack of snow yesterday on Christmas. But other than that,
man.
How was Christmas, man? How was things for you and family?
It was great. We had a real nice time. My brother and his family came in from D.C., and we were at my parents, and had some nice gifts and games and lots of food. And then we went out checking out. We went for a big drive afterwards and checked out all the different Christmas lights.
That's a good way to do it. Family, all of that stuff. So, hey, man, this is our first time live here this week at all. As you heard in the opening segment, man, I ran out of time. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to break, come back, and we'll pick up where we left off. Let's see. We got one quarterback hurt, another quarterback hurt. We don't know if one's any good. Pretty sure that the other one is only so-and-so. Don't know what to do here. I mean, well, it's the end of another Brown season. What would you expect? But interesting conversations around the quarterback position this week for the simple fact that it's not even the starting quarterback thing. That's either going to be Brian Hoyer or Connor Shaw, one or the other. If Hoyer can go, if he can go at 12:55, he'll be the quarterback on Sunday. If at 12:57, 12:58, he goes, I can't do it, then Connor Shaw will become the quarterback. And I'm willing to bet it's going to be pretty close. Maybe it won't be 5 minutes before, but I'm telling you that it will be Sunday morning when that decision is made. Because as much as fans may say, oh, Connor Shaw, he's going to come in, let's see what he's got. The Gamecock was what, 25 and touchdowns, 1 interception last season, whatever it was. I get it, and I like the kid, and he's had all season developing on the practice squad, and I actually think that he's probably more developed, no doubt in my mind, than Johnny Manziel is at this point in the season, because he's put the work in each and every day. He's had to, running the scout team stuff. Now, I don't know how much of the Browns playbook he knows, but he knows everybody else's playbooks pretty well because he's been running the scout team. But not only that, but for all the people saying Connor Shaw, there's a big difference between what Shaw's going to bring and even somebody who's been there like a Brian Hoyer. We saw that last week. The instant Brian Hoyer returned to the offense, it immediately became a professional offense. Whether or not it put 1 million points on the board, I'm not going there. It became a professional offense once again. They got some things going. You could see the difference. You can also see why Mike Pettin did what he did all season long. But I think the funniness bitterness looking out of the starting position is the backup. And the third quarterback, that's the thing. They're like, look, we got to do something because if Hoyer can't go, then he can't back up either. So we need somebody. Well, let's go. Hey, Rex, what are you doing this week? Rex Grossman says, you know what? I got family in town. And to be honest with you, I mean, it's just like 6 days. So I think I'm good. I'm going to hang out with my family. So you guys do your thing. So then they pick up the phone and they call Tyler Thigpen, who, of course, was arrested 2 months ago in a drive-thru for a DUI, falling asleep in the drive-thru. And when I loved Mike Pettin's answer Wednesday. When they asked him about it, he said, look, we know. We're fully aware of it. And he's here for a week. He's here for the week, and that's all I can say. He's here for the week, and that's what it is. Tyler Thigpen's here to practice, and in an absolute emergency, because I was dying to listen to Hoyer earlier this week say he's down on the ground, and Shanahan's in his ear going, Brian, you got to get up. No, seriously, you have to get up because they didn't know where they were going to go after he got annihilated on that hit and also on the touchdown as well. He was just leveled. By the way, totally aside from that, Dan Wismar nailed it weeks ago when he said they're letting Brian Hoyer take shot after shot back there that any other quarterback would get flags called left and right. And we saw that again this week. He got leveled with a couple of shots, and I think people just take for granted how tough. I'm talking about the officials. I think they take for granted the fact that kid bounces back up after every hit, because if Tom Brady or Peyton Manning took those kind of shots, there'd be massive six-figure penalties being laid down against defenders, you know?
Right, and you know that they're going to be taking their shots at Hoyer or whoever's back there because, you know, they've got, you know, Elvis Dumerville, who's got 17 sacks. They got Terrell Suggs, who has 11 sacks. But, you know, strangely enough, you know, they had 8 sacks a couple weeks ago against the Jaguars, but none against the Texans last week. And if there's any, you know, hope for the Browns, it's the fact that, you know, the Ravens, they were in this situation last week, where they had to win to stay alive in the playoffs and keep things going, but they lost to a practice squad quarterback in Case Keenum, of all people.
Oh, I know. I know.
He wasn't even on the Texans practice squad. They signed him off the Kansas City practice squad. He goes right in there in front of with his, you know, hometown fans where he starred for the University of Houston. He didn't really do all that great, but they still managed to beat the Ravens. And if Shaw comes in and actually beats the Ravens, which would obviously be a major feat, you know, there'll be really a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth with the Ravens, and that would really be something to behold.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you went right into the Ravens. I'm still looking back kind of at the fallout of this Carolina game. So, you know, we got the 3 quarterbacks. Talk to me about that, about the situation here. You know, obviously it's going to be Hoyer or Shaw this week, but let's rewind a little bit. You and I haven't had a chance to talk. Johnny Manziel goes down, which was what some people predicted from the get-go would be the thing that would get him. Even the ones that thought that he had all the talent in the world. They said he was going to get hurt, and then there was others that said he didn't even have the talent. Either way, pretty much no matter what you think of the Browns' decision, which I think it was proven out that Mike Pettin had made the right call and he buckled when he should not have buckled. I think everybody can see that now, that the Browns were right not to pull the trigger and that they made a mistake late in the season. But can you call it a mistake because you still answered some questions? And I know that you didn't write the final here's the scouting report on Johnny Manziel after 6-7 quarters. But that being said, I think you saw enough of what you wanted to see that it actually saved the Browns fans a major, major debacle next season, because there is no way even the biggest Johnny Manziel supporter can say, hey, prop that guy up next year and he should be starting from week 1. Not unless you want to go 2-14. There's no way in the world. And I think that that's too big of a step back for the Browns to try to sell to the fan base, to say we're gonna raise the land again and we're gonna start over again. For what? You're already halfway where you're trying to get to. You don't start over again at that point. So if nothing else, it showed the Browns that you cannot go into next season with Manziel as number 1. And I know I'm going to blow some people's minds with this. I said it a month ago, and I'm sticking to it. Hoyer, Manziel, those are your quarterbacks coming in next season for the Cleveland Browns. I think Brian Hoyer's worth to the Browns showed itself in the final month of the season, and I think he sold himself to the Browns. Now, that being said, another team can take him away, but if he chooses